it's a busy Saturday for all of us. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, looking back at one game, looking ahead to the next, which is all set to begin. Let's start by our look back at what's been a very efficient run chase from the Royal Challengers. Virat Kohli, that's the biggest news, the best news for fans in Bengaluru, generally Indian fans around the world who were getting a little worried about the captain's form, the Indian captain's form, but we all know about the permanency of class, and that's what he showed us. Let's quickly remind you of what happened there. At the end, it was a total that they could have defended had they picked up a few early wickets, 154 for 6 rather, in their 20 overs, despite the loss of the top 3. 158 for 2 by 8 wickets. That is an efficient victory. Kohli 72 and Devdutt Padikkal 63. So whichever way you look at it, the future and the present in great hands, Simon, from Indian cricket point of view.
Yeah, comfortable, wasn't it? It was a nice win. I thought they bowled very well for the most part of that game. Maybe just lost their way at the back end. But you never have a complete performance, and so they'll look back and they'll say, okay, could have tidied up the back end of our bowling just a touch, but the front end of the bowling, the fielding was very good. And then to do it with ease, they probably could have won it easier, 17 and a half, 18 overs. They didn't need to take risks. Padikkal, brilliant once again, and then the skipper back in form. So all you people out there, you'll just have to find someone else to have a go at now.
Well said, Joy. I mean, that the record Padikkal now has, 350s in 4 innings. Nobody's had a better start.
No, amazing. And I was just looking at it, the irony of fate, about 6-7 months back, Padikkal does not make it to the under-19 side. Yashasvi Jaiswal is the captain of the side, gets 50s throughout. Yashasvi Jaiswal is sitting out and watching Padikkal get his third 50 in 4 matches. It's just, sport is such an amazing thing and it turns things around so fast. The other thing I was thinking about is that, look at Virat. Virat, this is important, not because Virat played well to start with, because he played so badly. So he was looking so mediocre and he played himself into form. And that's what these great batsmen do. They have bad patches, they don't time it. And still he was batting at 90, strike rates of 85, 90, 95. And then suddenly hits a couple of 4s, hits something. Suddenly he's at 135. He scored 72 runs and you don't know where.
I think that power play score was significant, Simon, and I'm saying that for 2 reasons. One, that you are the winner of our My 11 Circle badge of honor. But that was the kind of score, Simon, they needed to be at, especially after they lost Finch. They didn't want Kohli to come and say, listen, I need to be 71 just because Joy said so. I think that's what you said. But I think that was kind of the power score and they got there.
Yeah, it was. When you're chasing that sort of a total in the mid-150s, you get away to something between 45 and 55, and you only lost 1 wicket in that power play. That's the start you want. It's a great start. Yes, it could have been more aggressive. Finch could have got going, but it wasn't, and it was right in that zone where they needed to be. It allowed Kohli to come out and just in that power play as well, just get started when there wasn't boundary riders out and about. And he got a couple of balls in the middle of the bat, went to the field, then he got one through the field. And maybe you go back to that super over where he decided after a pretty ordinary start to a tournament by his very high standards, he just thought, I'm going to come out in the super over, 1 delivery, full toss, just on middle and leg, bang, 4. Felt it out of the middle of the bat. Maybe that was the moment. Maybe that was all he needed to go back to the net, start feeling a little bit better about it, and then come out and produce that.
Yeah, as you pointed out, Joy, his first boundary in the tournament proper, not in a super over.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I'll tell you, what's also going to happen is that he's a captain who leads a lot by himself, by example. Him getting runs is fantastic for the team, and they've been winning without him as well. Now, if Morris comes back and takes that spot for Udana, their batting extends a bit, their death bowling gets better, and this is starting to look like a dangerous side now.
Yes, it certainly is. If you talk about dangerous sides, when we glance at our My 11 Circle ultimate team of the day, and we will, of course, have a team for this game. We will have one for the next game. We'll come to that very shortly because, it's Virat Kohli who's pushed his way into that team. He wasn't there. But just to summarize what's happened in this particular game from the opposition perspective, how hurt will Rajasthan be after the kind of start they had, Simon, in the tournament?
Yeah, they will be hurt. They've just lost their way with the bat a little bit. And it's kind of, as I said earlier today, it coincided with Steve Smith's dismissal and just in an un-Smith-like fashion against KKR. He was found wanting against Pat Cummins, which you just don't see him flustered very often, and almost gave his wicket away to a really loose shot, and that set the tone for that game. And I just think it seems to have carried on. He didn't play a similar shot today, but that top three failing once again, and they just seem to have started on a hiss and a roar. Maybe the news of Ben Stokes being on the plane. He'll arrive tomorrow morning our time at around about 4 or 5 a.m. from New Zealand. Have to do a 6 days, so maybe that news will spur Rajasthan a little bit. But at the moment, after a great start, just the last two games with the bat at the top have been the disappointment.
Yes, they have been. We promised you the My 11 Circle Ultimate Team of the day. We've of course got a winner, but let's have a look at that team. If you got it right, Padikkal and Kohli, depending on which order, Padikkal gets a nod over Kohli, but that's the way things are going to be. And just about 5 Rajasthan players making it in there, but it was more red than pink today, and that's the way it stood. What about our winner, the My 11 Circle Champion of the day, which we will talk about at the end of the day? You've got to earn it. It's a double header. You've got to earn your victory over there. And the double header we're talking about, a quick conversation about that. Delhi against Kolkata in Sharjah. There are a couple of changes, and Kolkata have asked Delhi to bat first, so they probably want to suss out the conditions first. First and foremost, on the toss, Simon, good call?
I think that's just the norm for these night games. We saw the ball get quite wet in last night's encounter, and I think that's the reason that the teams are giving. But I will say it, and I'll say it every time: if you bat first and you bat really well and put pressure on, you can still win the game. And the tournament has proven that so far. I think all they're worried about is the dew later on.
Joy, we tried to do a preview to this game. We don't necessarily always get it right, but yes, with all due respect to Kuldeep Yadav, he had to make way at some point in time, and they've strengthened their batting with Rahul Tripathi.
No, absolutely. And I completely agree. Rahul Tripathi will probably play on the top because really, as we were speaking, Sunil Narine against 2 express fast bowlers it's not the easiest thing to play against. So I think they've just decided he'll feast off Harshal Patel, but I don't think you'll see much of Harshal Patel in the first 6 overs if Sunil Narine is out there to bat. So I think they've gone well, and they look at a team that bats up to 10. They bowl 6 bowlers. This is a good-looking team. It's a really good-looking. It's a powerful lineup up there. I'll be interested in seeing how they go. Also, it's like a reunion party. You basically have 3 of the under-19 guys from Calcutta, and then you have Prithvi Shaw, who was their captain out there. Then some guys from the batch of 2016, which is you have Rishabh Pant, Avesh Khan from there. So it's like this huge number of young cricketers. It's like a celebration of our youth system, and that's fantastic for the game.
Yeah, given that not everyone can necessarily meet everyone else in the bubble, it's good to come together with this batch from time to time. But one of the changes that Joy just mentioned, Harshal Patel, the other one is the big return of Ravichandran Ashwin. There you can see it there. Ashwin coming in, Harshal Patel coming in, one Patel out for another, not necessarily in that order, and Ravichandran Ashwin making way for Ishant Sharma. So, or the other way around really. Ashwin comes in, Ishant Sharma out. Ishant Sharma could be perhaps an injury, but we're not sure about that. But Harshal Patel, we expected to see him a lot earlier, Simon.
Yeah, we did, and it's intrigued about Ishant. He must be injured. I didn't think he was bad in the last game, so he must have a little niggle that we haven't quite found out about yet, and we'll try and garner that information as the night goes on. But good to see Harshal Patel back. Slower balls, very good slower balls, and he's got some variations, so that's nice. But also Ashwin, never easy to come back from a dislocation. Let's hope that's okay. I'm sure he'll be playing with it slightly strapped. It might limit a little bit of movement for him, but it's nice to see him back.
Yes, and of course, with so little time between games, you've got to refresh your team. You've got to get the right players in. Our My 11 Circle trump card is someone who's been playing so steady, so correct. And if you don't think you want to have him in your team, you better think again. Shubman Gill, look at that. I mean, there's no points, there's no extra points for how good you look. If there were, he'd be in your team for every game, Joy.
No, absolutely. And he is the linchpin. I think what they did well this year, KKR, was commit to him early and say he's going to open for 14 matches. They've given him the confidence, they've given him the slot. He's returning their confidence in dollops by the kind of performances he has. And today will be interesting because I can't see Delhi allowing these guys to settle. Delhi will say, we'll put 200 on and let them try and hit our spinners after that. And it's not going to be that easy. But the question is, what do you think is a good total on this field? And that's going to be the crucial decision. Once they start batting, is 180 good? Is 200 good? I mean, that's the point, because there is, this ground, you get a lot of runs on this ground, but, conditions do change from day to day.
And the other question, I guess, Joy, is how at ease is Dinesh, and how many games and how much leeway does he get in this side without scoring runs? I know he's the skipper. They have other options. How much leeway does he get without scoring runs or putting performances on the board?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because you have it's not often you have a World Cup winning captain who's standing there beside you, who's a friend of the coach for the past 7 years, and they almost have a telepathetic understanding among each other. They just, McCullum thinks something, Morgan knows what he's thinking, and it'll be very interesting. But see, I think the interesting thing is both these teams are on the ascendant. Both have got their act together. Both are winning. So at some point, one team is going to get their momentum going even further. One team is suddenly going to get stymied and say, okay, back to the drawing board, we need to do something. And it'll be very interesting, because both these teams have been very impressive in their last few games.
Well, interesting point brought up by Simon Doull there. It's a hard call to take. Remember, at the start of the season, months before the season, we all thought when Owen Morgan was bought at the auction that it was a double buy. Buy Owen Morgan, the batsman, by Owen Morgan, the captain. It wasn't to be. But we leave that aside for the moment. We had 4 nominees for our Boost Stamina Meter. 3 of us that we are chatting here because of all the work we've done. But our 4th nominee is actually out on the field, and we've decided to pick this individual. Let's have a look at our Boost Stamina Meter list for a start. And this is where things stand for the moment. We've picked on Shreyas Iyer, captain of the Delhi Capitals, batting rating of 88.1. He's been at the crease for 48 balls in Delhi's innings. We've been at the crease all afternoon today. Fielding rating 71.6, attempted 3 catches and 2 runouts this season. So he's been busy. And when you're busy as captain as well, that's that extra mental stamina we talk about, Simon.
Yeah, and it's taxing. For a young man, he's got a lot on his shoulders. I really like how he's handling himself, and in interviews, in press conferences, on the field, he seems a very calm character, and I really enjoy watching his development. And I think he's going to learn a huge amount under Ricky Ponting, even the likes of Ashwin in that squad, guys that he will learn a lot underneath. So I'm impressed with him. And if he continues to develop, then we'll see a lot more of him in the role.
He certainly will. Enjoy very quickly. He'll have a role to play with bat as well, because there'll be some players, the impetuous youngsters, who look at Charger and say 6 every ball. He'll need to play the calming role. Yeah,
I think that they've decided that he's one of the anchors of the team. The people are going to bat around him, and he's one of the guys who's going to be there. The other guys will have. Prithvi always has the license to go. I mean, I think Ponting has made that very clear. Rishabh will have the license to go. So it's Shreyas who's going to be there in the middle and say, okay, I'm going to stick it out while all these guys hit around me. And it will be interesting. This is 2 young, powerful teams going into each other. This is a mouth-watering engagement. It's a really good top-of-the-table clash.
It certainly is. It's going to be mouth-watering for us as well, because we've got just 30 seconds to wrap up with a possible prediction for our My 11 Circle Badge of Honor. Are we going to have Mount 200 scaled again, Joy? This time you go first.
189.
So Joy says no. The answer is in unequivocal 189. Simon?
I'm going high. I'm going to go high. 205.
189, 205. I don't want to squeeze in between. I'm going to trust Kolkata and go a little bit lower at 180. 180. Decent score, but not again that high. So it's going to be interesting. Come what may. Are we going to have another 200 or not? Whether we think so is not important. It's what happened out there in the middle. We'll assess the score at the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox and be back with all the wrap of what's been a long doubleheader. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.